We're at lunch break here in Orlando at the Sarah Boone suitcase murder trial. Once again, I have Murt from the desk. Witness one, Murt. Let's see if I can. Yeah, I think that's okay there. All right, so we'll let a little bit of time go by, let people join in, let them know that we're live. Another beautiful day in
Yeah, it's quite
Florida.
nice today. It's
Yeah.
starting to cool off. We're getting into the fall weather, so it's a nice day today.
Yeah. So let's see. We'll give it a few minutes. Let people come in. Let them know that we're live. Because we have, as always, we have a lot to talk about. When it's Sarah Boone, we have a lot to talk about. We'll give it another few seconds and we'll jump right in. All right, so we're at the lunch break now. Sarah Boone suitcase murder trial, and I have Murt with me. And you want to tell us what happened in this morning's session?
Yeah, I'll try and get my bad memory to work. Started off with a little bit of business, then went right into witnesses being called. There was a couple of deputies called. There was the professor was called, and it was a lot of foundational background stuff. And so they got into domestic violence and the victims and everything. And it was there are some objections, but it wasn't too bad. But the main gist of it is I think this actually helped the state because the professor answered his questions truthfully and without bias and explained the nuances of domestic violence and all this stuff and talked about that. And the way it taught and way it went, they were both basically bad. There was none. There was
no redeeming qualities.
No redeeming qualities
on
for either one of them. They were mad drunks is the best way.
Yeah.
There was one detective that was called that had to do with a prior incident. Also, two deputies were called. Matter of fact, I think the first witness of the day was a female deputy who responded, and she talked about the case and the fact that George was arrested. And that's a video that I've seen. And the funny thing about that video is George got arrested and Sarah pleaded. She didn't want him arrested. She says, I'll drop the charges and all this. And the sheriff said, well, it's too late for that. And so under Florida law, you're both charged with domestic violence. So
if she makes the 911 call, she's then?
At that incident, she called the cops.
Okay.
And then when the cops got there, they looked at George and they looked at her and they arrested George and told him under Florida law, if we see evidence of domestic abuse, we got to arrest the both of you.
Wow. Okay.
They don't mess around with that. So
I did not know that.
Oh yeah, this is unique. I don't know if it's unique to Florida, but it's our law down here. Domestic, you get involved in a domestic issue, they'll arrest the both of you. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Right.
And it's an overnight. You go in overnight, and then you get released based on what the judge says. So he went away overnight, and he actually. This is the part where the department manager was seen in the golf cart. He came. And he gave a number to Sarah to call so he could get bail money. I guess to call his mother or something.
So is this the arrest where we see the body cam of the one, he's a male officer, and he comes in and she's all happy and giddy, and then he's like, no, I'm here to arrest Jorge or George, and she's like, it's that one.
Yeah,
she's happy and then, that one, okay.
Yeah, that was the one.
Okay.
Because of that, you see... In subsequent body cams, you actually see him getting arrested.
Yeah.
And
he's sheepish, he's quiet, he's calm, he's not aggressive, he's not fighting them.
No, he said, okay, he actually, had a nice conversation with the law. She was going nuts.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, and the female detective kept telling her to go to the house. You know, she'd go in the house,
Yeah.
come back out. You know, she
Right.
wouldn't stay out of the house.
Yeah. Do
It
you
was
need
a-
Jesus? It's that video, right? Therapist, you know, do you need Jesus? Because he's like, Jesus. And she turns around and she's like, do you need Jesus right now?
Yeah, it was an interesting video.
Yeah.
But that was what the
Drunky the Bear.
they
yeah.
had 3 detectives that are, or 3 deputies, I should say.
Yeah.
You know, one was a corporal, and then the female, and then the detective. So they had 3 officers on the stand.
For like 10 seconds. I mean,
Yeah,
they
it's
were
very,
like, boom,
very
boom, boom.
short.
Yeah.
Man, they blew these witnesses through.
Yeah.
The professor was the longest one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they spent a lot of time on the professor,
Right.
and then they showed the video, 2 videos of him smashing the hell out of that TV set. Man, he destroyed that thing.
How did the jury react to that?
They just watch it. This again, this is a very passive jury. They don't, you know, there's none of this face covering or oh my God. They just sat there and watched it.
Yeah.
And you know,
Interesting.
there's a couple of them that were talking between each other through the whole trial.
Right.
So you know, it's just note taking and all that.
Yeah.
I could have sworn one wanted to go to sleep.
Wow. Wow.
But you know, it's because the way she was looking down at her notebook.
Yeah. As did
But
Sarah.
they're paying attention. They're not emotional, anything like that. They didn't do it. You know, the only reaction out of them is everybody stood up yesterday when they had the suitcase out.
Mm-hmm.
But the suitcase was in hiding today, and we didn't do anything with that.
Okay.
But at the end, and one of the reasons we're out so early at the end, the defense has to have a discussion with 2 important witnesses that are going to be called right after lunch. And one of them is a woman with the last name of Walker, and I can't think of the other one, but those 2 are going to be called after lunch.
Dr. Harper? Was it Dr. Harper?
Dr. Harper, I believe it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the 2 doctors are going to come on after lunch. And there was supposed to be a neighbor that was going to come in. They took her off the witness list.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, the judge again asked Sarah if she understands what the defense is doing and is she okay with the defense and all this. Because he wants to make sure that she doesn't start complaining about the defense and then want new attorneys. So he's going to nip that in the bud. So he keeps asking this over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so they're gonna have the 2 people come back after lunch, and it's kind of nice to ride in the elevator with people because you learn a lot. And what I learned today is the defense is going to close today.
Okay. You hear that, chat?
So
Defense is closing today.
they're going to wrap it up today. They're going to close, and then the only thing is are we going to, what might happen depending on when they close, because, you know, we're fairly early and it depends on how long the defense takes. We could get into jury instructions, and then we're going to go into closing arguments probably tomorrow.
Right. It seems like everybody's kind of leaning towards this will go to the jury on Friday.
Yeah, it's either going to be late tomorrow or Friday,
Yeah.
because they have to get into what we call Brady instructions, where he breaks down what they can and can't consider, whether or not we're going to have lesser include, like involuntary manslaughter, second degree murder,
Yeah.
and I don't think we have third degree murder in Florida. I think it migrates over into the 2 manslaughters, involuntary and voluntary manslaughter.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
Jedi
then-
Jest. There will be a state's rebuttal. We were talking about that as well. We're hoping Brian Boone is called to rebut everything that Sarah has said.
Yeah, that's been the prevailing opinion today, is they're going to bring him back in to refute a couple points that Sarah made, plus reiterate that she was a drunk.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Because
There's
his side of the story is I call her multiple times because she's drunk and passed out. Her side of the story is, as we found out yesterday, he calls me incessantly and I'm cleaning the house and making house beautiful. So instead of it being a battle of the experts, we think it's going to be a battle of
It's going to be the battle of the spouses.
the battle of the Boons.
Battle of the exes.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but because it's going to be boom boom day tomorrow.
yeah. I want to hear him talk about her using her claws and that she drank vodka regularly. Jedi Jess. Yeah, yeah. We all want to hear that. We all want to hear. He's already told it to the detectives and the police. We want to hear it now on the stand. War of the Roses, Julie. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, there's a lot of thorns on those roses.
Thorn, yeah. No, they did not. March 13, they did not release him. He was subject to recall. That's why when they said subject to recall, I was like, "Ooh, we still have."
Yeah,
he's
I
coming back.
think the prosecution wanted to keep him just in case something like this came up.
Yep. Yeah, because she opened the door. She got on the stand and she opened the door for a lot. So
You know, she's a pathological liar. She even admitted it in court that she lied.
Yeah.
Because she was afraid.
Yep. Yep.
But it's just, she's lied through this whole thing because it's been going on for 4 years, and it's been a kind of a nutty situation down here.
Yeah.
But there's about a 95% chance they're going to call him back.
Yeah.
To clear this up.
Hey, Momo Shark, glad to see you in the chat. And Tammy in Kansas, yes, this whole Sarah Boone journey has been wild. Now, I want to get back to the video of Jorge hitting that TV, because when I was watching it, I was like, wow, that's not damning in any sense of the stretch of the imagination, but it definitely showed some aggression. However, people in the chat now and back then, and you tell me what your perception is, it's taken out of context. Here he is just swinging a bat at a TV. Yes, it shows aggression, but what was the context around that? Somebody said he seemed tired. He was not, engaged. Sarah's not screaming. She's not saying, "Oh, stop. What are you doing? I'm in fear for my life." So
yeah, because she was nonchalantly standing there with the bat. Mm-hmm. She's not saying a word.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, he just goes to town on the TV.
Yeah.
And it's like she says, stop, that's my TV. And, I paid a lot of money. None of that.
None of that.
She just seemed to enjoy it.
Yeah, and somebody, I forget who, I'm sorry, but in the chat said, how do we even know that TV was working?
Yeah, that's the thing.
That TV could have been broken. Who knows?
It probably blew out. And they said, well, screw it. We might as well have some fun. We'll smash the TV and put it on YouTube. Because if you go on YouTube or TikTok, Instagram, and put people smashing TVs, and
that's a thing.
You're going to see them doing all kinds of stuff. David Letterman used to throw them off the top of a skyscraper.
That is true.
He threw all kinds of stuff off there. And
That's
I remember
true.
one of them was a big screen TV.
Yeah,
and
pumpkins, right? Didn't you?
Pumpkins.
I remember all that.
They threw a washing machine off of there. They threw throwing all kinds of crap off that building, and
it's a very 60s rock and roll thing to do, is to throw a TV out the window.
There's a group.
The Office spaced it, yeah.
There's a group. There's this dam somewhere. I think it's in Europe, and they throw all kinds of things off of that. They threw, they threw couches, they have a thing about throwing bowling balls off and hit the concrete at the bottom of the
destroying.
But they've thrown lawn chairs. All kinds of. They even threw a car off. They rolled a small European car off it, and that thing hit the bottom, and I was like, there was nothing left of it. And then they put another car down on the bottom of the dam, and they were trying to hit it with all this stuff.
Jeez.
And they threw an anvil, they threw a bat, a bowling ball, they even threw a lawn chair, all kinds of bicycles. They threw a bicycle, But, there's people that do this sort of thing.
Right. So Momo Shark, yes, we feel Brian will be coming back for rebuttal. We are praying that he does, because yesterday's cross of Sarah did not go the way we all thought it was going to go. Mm-hmm. And we're hoping that the rebuttal for the state will be pivotal, and that will be Brian coming back and refuting everything that's said.
Because I try to remind everybody, don't give up the ship yet.
Yeah.
Because this ain't over until they send it to the jury.
Yeah.
But I think the state's going to come back.
Yep.
Because they have a chance to sit down and say, all right, now what do we do?
Yep.
They're going to bring Brian back, and they're just going to rip into her statements about the happy housewife thing.
Yep.
And just point her out as a drunken lush, and that's the jury will say, oh, okay, now we get it.
Right.
But I think Sarah has damaged herself. Yeah, you sit there and cram something in the suitcase, and they're begging to get out of the suitcase, and you throw F-bombs at them and laugh at them, and
Yeah.
she just really, that was cringe and that is cringe material, that video, and I think that's the one that's going to get them.
Yeah.
Especially now that because the prosecution can play that in closing. They come back now to remind you this is what she did, and they can play that whole video.
Yeah.
And that'll be the last thing they go back in there with. They could do it on rebuttal.
Right.
Because you get defense, you got prosecution, defense, and then the prosecution comes back for rebuttal. And so they could bring that home so that that's the last thing the jury sees when they go to deliberate.
Yeah, that would be wise.
Yeah,
Because in the opening statement, Mr. J he voiced it all.
He
said
read
it
the
all.
transcript.
Yeah, he read the
Because
transcript.
the reason he did that is because they hadn't introduced it and published it yet.
Yeah.
So that's
But
why
now he
all
can
the
show it.
foundational stuff happens.
Yeah.
Is they have to come up with a reason for that evidence being brought in. So they bring in whoever is relevant to that particular piece of evidence. They ask them all the questions, and then they go, "Do you recognize this?" Yes. "We'd like to publish." Yes. And there you go.
Yeah.
So this is so you're going to see that in closing.
Right. So anything else jump out at you?
Not really.
Yeah, it was kind of a quiet.
No, it was kind of an average day.
kind of quiet. Yeah, somewhat quiet.
I was fighting going to sleep because of that psychiatrist. I'm going,
Yeah.
here we go.
I hope
'Cause
they
it's-
play. Yeah.
but,
Jedi Jess, I hope they play the
plus
videos
it's-
and have the at the end. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, I agree, Jedi Jess. I'm sure they will play the videos in closing. That might be the very last thing they play, and then jury, it's up to you. It's in your hands. Just
Yeah.
take this back with you, and that could be the last thing. That would be
Yeah,
powerful.
and then the jury can ask for that. Because if jury asks for anything, they bring them back in court. The judge says, okay, you guys want to see this video or ask this question? And it gets done. Excuse me. Because when I was the jury foreman on this case here, yeah, you'll hear me cough in court
Okay,
again.
yeah. That's the Murt cough there.
Yeah.
If you hear it,
So if you heard all the blasphemies, that was me.
but that's a cough, not a sneeze. Does he
Yeah.
think it's a sneeze?
I sneeze too.
Oh, okay.
And
So every time Kranik says "bless you," that's this guy over
that's
here.
me. Because I get tickle throat from the dry air, and there's a bunch of ragweed flying around. So
Yeah.
I sneeze all the time.
So
But,
to get back to it, it was
and when
kind
I
of
was
quiet, yeah.
when I was jury foreman,
Oh yes, yeah.
and it was in our case. I don't know if I can use the word on YouTube, but and a female. He had been in the female's apartment. They were watching TV. They'd been friends for a long time.
He's the sneezer. Go ahead.
And he started doing inappropriate things. He says, "No, I don't want to do that." And he kept it up for a while until she really got upset. And she wasn't going to do anything, but her parents forced her to prosecute. And what happened is the Orange County detectives got her to call the guy. And they recorded it.
Okay.
And he, so they had the conversation. "Why'd you do that to me? I didn't like it. I was upset. We've been friends for years. Blah 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 blah." And they played that in court originally. And so when we went back in, and we were, I would take a poll, and there would be 4-2. And so I would ask, all right, so the two jurors, what is your concern? And the one woman didn't think it was a very big deal and everything. And I said, well, you do know that the guy confessed. And the other one that had voted no said, "No, I didn't hear that." And I said, "Yeah, he confessed."
How could she not hear that? How did she miss
Well,
that?
it's people that either don't pay attention or they don't understand the conversation.
Right?
I said, "Well, do you folks want to hear the phone call again?" And so they said yes. And so what I did is I handed the battle the note, and he went in, and then he called us all back in. And he said, "It's my understanding that you want to view the listen to the phone call. And I stood up and I said, yes, Your Honor, because the foreman always answers. And the judge, okay, and, cue up the phone call. We listen to the phone call, and they say, all right, you're excused to go back in the room. And I said, okay.
So let me just interrupt. Therapist, no, this is not Boone. This is a trial where Murt was the foreman. So
Yeah, this happened years ago.
This is not Sarah Boone. So I'm
It's
sorry, go
not
ahead.
Sarah Boone, so
Yeah, no, that's
don't
not
think
Sarah.
that it's over with. And
Yeah,
I
no.
somehow got into
Yeah.
it.
So go
Anyway,
ahead.
so we went back into the deliberation room, and I said, everybody down there says, okay, I'm going to do another roll call, and we got a verdict right then and there.
Yeah.
Sent the note to the bailiff, and so they brought everybody back in court. I stood up, and they asked me all the usual questions. Gave the note to the clerk, and then she read the verdict, and I thought the guy was going to faint right there. And then the judge said, okay, 20 years. And so we were dismissed, gave us all the thing, and that was it. But that's one instance of where one piece of evidence in the whole trial can change the course of it.
Yeah.
Because these people, up until we heard the recording for a second time, they wanted to acquit him.
Right. So just one little thing could hinge,
Yeah.
could change
It
it.
was
Yeah.
kind of like a miniature 12 Angry Men, but it was a mixed jury.
All right. So March 13th says, how long do you think deliberations will take? We put a poll out yesterday.
I say an hour.
You think an hour?
I say this is, I was wrong about Casey Anthony, so don't.
Yeah, I think a lot of people.
But
would, yeah.
from what I've seen and comparing this to the case I covered in Ocala, I think they're going to be out about an hour.
Okay.
And it's going to take them. They got to pick a foreman, and probably, and then they do it the way most juries do, they're going to have a poll right off the bat.
Right.
You poll. Then if there's a split jury, you have it's up to the foreman and how they vote to continue the debate and see if they can wrangle people one way or another and come up with a unanimous verdict.
Yeah. Wendy Williams asks, how many more witnesses on the defense side?
I think 3 by the sounds of it.
Yeah, we think.
Because they've got the 2 doctors,
Yep.
and I think there's 2 more beyond that.
Yeah.
But
We think there's 2 more after the doctors, so that's 4 then.
yeah, that's 4 witnesses. But I might be wrong on that because
Okay.
they were going through that list, and some of them were coming, some of them not,
Okay.
and I think they're what I would call short time witnesses. They're going to come up there, they're going to say this, that, or the other thing. It's going to be 10 minutes, and they're gone.
Right.
I think the 2 experts are going to be probably a half an hour to an hour apiece. But for them to close today, I would think it's going to be fairly early. I don't think we're going to run into overtime. I'd be wrong, but I'd be surprised we went into overtime on this.
Yeah. The word on the street is that defense will be closing
Today.
today.
They are going to
So-
close today regardless.
Yeah, and then state has their shot at rebuttal tomorrow, which would be Thursday. And then depending on how long that is, then it gets jury instructions, gets to the jury. Everybody's kind of thinking it's going to get to the jury on Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's either going to be late tomorrow night or Friday.
Yeah.
Because, at some point in this process, the Brady instructions have to be read.
Yeah.
And what the Brady instructions are is the defense and prosecution goes through a paragraph out of what they call the Brady's Rules Book. And this includes such things as the reasonable doubt chart, where you get into probable doubt, possible, all that gibberish. And then they explain what reasonable doubt is. And our standard in the criminal case is reasonable doubt. And so they go into all that, and there's a whole bunch of stuff depending on what the players agree on. They get read, they do all agree, all right, we agree on all this, blah, blah, blah. Bring in the jury. The jury gets read all this. Now, I think this is done after closing arguments. I've never heard of it being done before closing arguments, but I could be wrong. But they will read the instructions to the jury, and they will also get written instructions when they go in the jury box or into the deliberation room. so that they know what their requirements are. They go back there, pick a foreman, and the jury gets to decide how they're going to do it.
Yeah.
So they pick their foreman, and then the foreman basically runs the show, and it's, the foreman, depending on what they want to do, and 99 times out of 100, the jury foreman will do an initial poll.
Mm-hmm.
They say, okay, let's have a beginning poll to see where we all stand. And so it's usually a secret ballot. They think, and they scribble guilty, not guilty on all these little pieces of paper.
Mm-hmm.
The foreman counts them, and he says, okay, we got 4 to 2.
Right.
And it says, okay, now the two that voted this way, what is your reasoning? Mm-hmm. And then we'll start the Q&A, and then the jurors will all. I says, now you guys can. The way I did it anyway is I said, okay, you folks want to ask them and discuss it amongst yourselves, and it was somewhat lively, but we were all good to each other because we got to know each other through this process. Mm-hmm. And and then you have a revote, and then if you want something from the judge, the foreman, part of his job is to send any request from the jury to the judge. Mm-hmm. We may want to hear testimony from somebody, and what they'll do is the transcription is they'll pull down the audio recording, or else she'll read it, depending on how the court does things. So, to see what that particular witness said, and to see if it agrees to our perception. Mm-hmm. And in our case, it was the phone call, because once we did the phone call, it was the unanimous verdict.
Right.
And that's this jury will do this pretty much the same thing. They go through the evidence in any way they want to go through it, and then they either say guilty, not guilty, or hung jury.
Hung jury, yeah.
And then we get into a mistrial at that point.
So, chat, do you guys have any questions for Murt while we have him here? What time is it? Let's see, you're going to be going back. It's a quarter after, so you got to get back in there.
Yeah, I'm going to go
10
in.
till or so.
I'm going to go in and...
So you got a few minutes. Got any
questions?
There's
somebody I want to talk to up there, because it's a Spanish woman, and I just want to make sure we don't have a member of George's family in the courtroom.
Okay.
Because she's been sitting there and not doing much of anything like a YouTuber would do or anything.
Right.
And I'm just curious who she is.
All right, Chad, now's the time to ask some questions. We'll give it another 3 minutes. So throw some questions out for Murt. Let me think if I can think of any. Well, the thing that stood out to me today was the TV getting smashed, but again, no context whatsoever. Mm-hmm. March 13th, thanks, Murt. Interesting info. I've never been on a jury in the UK. Yeah, it is interesting. I've been called 4 times, and I've been on 2.
Yeah. Now, our legal system's a little different than yours. Number one, we don't wear the wigs. And I don't know the British jury system, but ours, it's basically a bunch of people go in a room, yell at each other, make a decision, come out, and tell the judge.
I will say this, though. I went in my very first one. I was called in New York City, and I protested. I did not want to go because I was freelancing at the time, and I wasn't getting paid, and I was just protesting. But once I got in there, it was very solemn. It was like, you get your act together, or else they'll call you out on it. The lawyers will call, the judge will call you out. Mm-hmm. If somebody gets in there and says, oh, this or that, you will get, people do it. I have seen it before. People will do that, but if you have any kind of self-respect or whatever, you will be reduced to mush, and you will follow the rules. Mm-hmm. And main thing is, the judge and the lawyer say, just imagine if that was you up on trial. Yeah, who would you want in the jury? Would you want some idiot who's just like saying, oh, I'm just doing this because, or I hate the system, blah, blah, blah? Or do you want somebody who's actually cares and it's going to be fair and impartial?
Yeah.
So that's
the thing, if you put yourself in that position, you understand that you want somebody that is your peer in that jury room.
Yeah. And not just somebody who's like saying, oh, the system's this, the system's that, and I'm going to do whatever I can do to get out of it.
We've got professional avoiders that do anything to get out of a jury.
Yeah.
I was an over-the-road truck driver for quite a long time, and so I would get out of jury duty simply because I told the judge, look, I'm going to be leaving tomorrow on a 14-day trip. I'm not going to be here.
Right.
Dismissed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why they call 100 people and they dismiss.
Yeah, they.
They make sure
it's
they have
like
enough.
They had almost 200 people that they had to whittle through on this trial, and then the day that the jury was late getting up to the courtroom was because they had 2 more lined up for the other trials that were going to be in the courtroom. They had to get them processed.
Right.
So
right.
this is a very busy court, but we're also a rocket docket. They go through, these cases go through fast.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Any other questions before we let our reporter in the court, Murt, go? Oh, check out his channel. What's your channel?
It's From the Disc, a Murt Witness 1 Live, and I will probably do my update of this whole thing 9 o'clock Eastern PM on YouTube.
Yeah. So check out.
I'm gonna go through and just kind of do a weekend update, get into, if we get a verdict on Friday, I'm going to get into it, and anytime the verdict comes through, I'm going to do a special at 9 o'clock and talk about that, plus I'll talk about it here as well.
There you go. Thank you, OnlyFan. That is it. So yeah, go give Murt some love. He's been great. This is the first time we've been working with him and met him, and it's all good, and we're going to let you go. I subscribe, Murt. There you go. Got another subscriber, Wendy
Thank
Williams.
You. Appreciate it.
Murt, yep, you do an awesome job. El Kennedy Eski Mama. Nice, I love that handle. OnlyFan, can you post the link for Murt? Okay, and we'll also Clips and Vixen in the once Sarah Boone kicks in again, we'll post it in there as well, in that chat too. So if you miss it here, we'll post it over there too.
Yeah, if one of those people happens to be L.K. Kennedy, she's one of my subs.
Oh, okay.
And she, she's one of my favorite subs.
Oh, there you go. All right, and there's the channel. All right, guys, we're going to let Murt go. Thanks for watching. Support our channel. Support Murt. We love you all. And come check out Sarah Boone Afternoon of, what are we up to, day 4? I've lost track. Are we day 4? I think we're day 4.
Oh, let's see. 1, 2, 3.
I think we're day 4.
We're on day 3 because
day
it's Friday, Monday, Tuesday. So we're on day 3.
Yeah, okay.
Tomorrow's day 4.
All right. Thank God I'm not doing the Young Thug trial because I would lose track of that in a heartbeat. All right, guys. Thanks for watching, and support both of our channels, and Clips and Vixen at awesome. All right. We'll see you later.
Okay. Have a good one.
Bye.
See you upstairs.